Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tales of the LGBTQ. My name is Douglas Parsons. At this time of the year, end of September, they say change is in the air. And maybe that's the case when it comes to the weather. But as we saw with the last federal election, nothing really changed at all. Some people love it, some people hate it. Again, I'm stuck not being able to talk about it too much due to my current position with Edmonton elections, which mutes me from talking about it politically too much. But huge props to two people within the Edmonton community. Blake Desjardins is the new representative for Griesbach here in Edmonton, defeating Carrie Diot of the Conservative Party. So it's great because Blake is the very first open two-spirit MP in Parliament. And also returning to Ottawa is Randy Boisseneau, who represented Edmonton Centre up until about 2 years ago and is now back. He being an openly gay man, and both those ridings in Edmonton are back to back. So the gay glitter, the influence has spread, and we're sending two very good people to Ottawa. So great news in that regard. Tonight, I have a very special guest, and we get a little bit of a hint here on the screen because I did not bring down the banner here, but we do have a musician. Matthew and the Keys is here tonight. We're going to talk about his music. We're going to talk about his background as a model, actor, being a teacher, and growing up being fabulous here in Edmonton itself. There's a lot of things that we're going to dive and weave our way through, and I'm looking forward to that conversation here tonight. If you are joining us live, you will see on the right-hand side of your page, there is a chat function. Please leave questions, please leave comments, and as we go through tonight, I'll definitely make sure to use as much of that information as possible. As I do before every podcast, I want to make an acknowledgement. Myself and Matthew, my guest for tonight, we're both located in Edmonton, which is within Treaty 6 territory and within the Métis homelands and Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 4. We acknowledge this land as the traditional territories of many First Nations, such as the Cree, Dene, Stoney, Saulteaux, and Blackfoot. Through listening and learning, we will work towards an accessible, inclusive, safe, ethical, and equitable place for Indigenous people and settlers from around the world who continue to be welcomed here and who call Edmonton home. I know for myself, I am grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. I make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those on whose territory we reside. Tonight, we have a very special guest in Matthew, and I think it's time now to bring him to screen because, yeah, he's got the it factor. So, welcome to Tales of the LGBTQ+. Matthew, how's it going tonight?
Hello, I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Excellent.
We were laughing beforehand a bit when we were talking because I'm stressed work-wise, and I came home and I was in a crabby mood, and but now, after some food, maybe a Snickers bar and a little bit of a nap, I now get to chat with you, and I'm excited because I've known of you for a few months now, and now I get to delve deep into learning more about you. So
Yeah,
this is exciting.
I'm very stoked. Thank you for having me here.
Hey, Matthew, when I first met you, it was based on your music. I got to live part of a very special day of yours when, on the day of your album drop, you came down to this special corner in my world, Pride Corner on Whyte, and performed the very first song from that, Choose Love. Or in my head now, it's Choose Love, because
Yeah,
it's 3 syllables long and
yeah,
it's stuck in my head forever, I think. But
right.
you performed that in front of everybody there. What was that experience like for you to be on one of the main intersections of Edmonton with a microphone in hand, rainbow flags around you, and here you are performing this brand new song on the day your album dropped?
Yeah, it was such an exhilarating moment for me. I wouldn't have had thought of a better place to drop my album that day and share it with all the people that are chosen are like me, right? So it was such a really cool moment to sing and have them be around me and just feel their warmth and their excitement, because it really drove me, and it was awesome. It was
Yeah.
awesome. Best day.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. There was that moment when we all took that group photo afterwards, and I think I
Yeah.
yelled out to you, I'm like, what does this feel like to be on Whyte Avenue, being surrounded by your fabulous family, the rainbow community there,
Yeah.
and celebrating you? It just, that was just a really cool moment. Choose Love being that song, that infectious song that gets in the back of your brain, this
Mm,
dance ditty, if I use the word ditty. Um,
absolutely.
where did this song come from? What's the genesis of it?
So Lorenzo and he is part of the duo Matthew and the Keys, and he came to me one night. It was actually kind of during the pandemic, I would say. Yeah. So he came over to my house, and he said, I have this melody that I want to play for you. I don't know what it is, but I want to kind of flesh it out with you. So he started playing it, and I pulled out the piano, which is I'm sitting at it right now, and the words just started pouring out of me. And I think for me, it was definitely about choosing love and choosing to hold your friends down, for a better lack of the word, but to hold your friends down when they're in a time of need and a time of distress and a time of stress and anxiety. It's such a great reminder to remind yourself that not only are you a person that needs to be choosing love for yourself, but also the people around you in your community need to feel that same love too. And so that's where it kind of came up to be. So he wrote the melody, and I helped a little bit with that, and then I wrote the lyrics.
See, you mentioned the pandemic at the beginning of the pandemic, and there's, especially then as it is now, there's a lot of misery, there's a lot of sadness. And
Yeah.
so, people, I would think, with the words coming out of them, would be sadness or anger or worry, but the words that came out were these positive words of remembrance. So does that reflect your personality in real life, or is this just one of those moments that just kind of went, oh, I would usually do a sad song, but heck, I fooled you. Here's that fast song. So is this part of your personality?
I definitely, when I write, it just comes from experiences that I feel and feel at that moment. I would say that my personality is definitely more on that positive side. I mean, with everybody, there's always those moments when you just feel so low and so down, and sometimes those come out in my songs as well. But um, generally, I'm a very happy person. I love to laugh. I love to joke around. I love to make people smile. I love it when people make me smile, because when I smile, then other people smile, and it's such a great chain reaction in that way. So I would say, yeah, I'm a very positive person.
Excellent. Well, we'll see what happens after the interview tonight and
Oh
what
my
I'm able to get out of you emotion-wise.
God.
Let's see. I sense a challenge. I said it's a challenge. As you're saying, you're in front of the piano, so I can imagine all of a sudden the strings of like Phantom of the Opera, that dun dun dun, and I'm like, ooh, boot swing.
I'm looking at my string option here on this Casio.
So yeah, now you're like, what are those keys again?
Yeah.
So was Choose Love one of the first songs that were created? Was the plan to create an entire album?
Yeah.
Or was it just simply, we have this extra time now, it's flowing out? How did this song become one of many more that became this album?
So I have been playing music in Edmonton, I want to say, since I think the first open mic I ever played was at this place called Hulbert's. Had you ever?
No.
It's in the Belgravia kind of area, kind of tucked away. And this was before the train was there. So I would take the bus and then just kind of like go around the corner of this small little coffee shop, and I'd play some of my songs whenever the open mic was not as busy, and I'd be able to get in because it was a super poppin' place, super, super hot. And through that time when I would write all these songs, that's where a lot of the songs come from the album. For example, Piece of Me, which is one of the songs in my album, that one was written in, I want to say, 2011, 2012. But Choose Love, to be honest, is actually, not even to be honest, it's just what it is. It's the first song on the album that was written within this year. So 2020 it was written. Yeah. So it's the most recent of them.
This album's been a long time coming.
It definitely has been, definitely. And so Lorenzo and I were both very eager to record something. We just weren't sure who we wanted to go through, if we wanted to do it independently, but as in doing it on a GarageBand or renting equipment from a music store to record everything on. And we've done a little bit of that for demos here and there, but we really wanted to have a product that was professionally done. And he found Brett Reed from Red Bear Records, who recorded and produced our album. And it was the best experience. So I'm so glad that we decided to go the route of doing it professionally.
I like that idea as well. Well, let's throw some information on the screen, and we'll do this throughout our conversation with each other as well.
Okay.
As I put this information on the screen, I'm also going to say it out loud as well. And if you can tell us a little bit about what we will find content-wise when we seek out information about Matthew and the Keys. So first we have the website, which is mathekeys.com. So your official band website.
Yes.
What would we find there?
So on the website, you'll find links, current links to all places that you can purchase my music. You'll be able to listen to Choose Love right there on the website. And you'll get news and updates about where I'm playing shows, what kind of events I'm going to be doing, and you'll be able to be kept in the loop. So you can also subscribe to my mailing list to get some more information before it hits other forms of social media.
Well, we also have to make sure that people find the music later on after this podcast, of course.
Yes.
Apple, Spotify, and Bandcamp. Emphasis on the Bandcamp part, especially when you're purchasing music itself. How many songs in all can people find of Matthew and the Keys?
So you can find our whole album, which is 10 tracks, and it is super fantastic, amazing. You're going to love it. I love it. I really do love it. It's a dope album. Get into it. Get into it.
Well, you mentioned, 2011 that for one of those songs. So this is 10 years of your life, the experiences of it.
Yes.
So what led to the album title that you chose in the end? What's the genesis of that?
So Victory, in a sense, is a victory for Lorenzo and I. We were victorious in recording this album, making this wonderful art, collaborating, putting it together, and it's a victorious feat in itself that we have finished this piece. And now with this out, I'm so excited, and we're so excited to do shows and do more things that are alive and safely done, to promote the album and share it with everyone here in Edmonton and even afar. Really, that would be the dream. The ideal dream would be amazing if we could tour with it. So yeah, we were super victorious, super happy, because even when I think about my childhood and when I was in high school and that kind of thing, I met so many of my friends who said, I want to be a musician, I want to be an actor, I want to do this and this. And for circumstances that are probably personal to them, they were not able to pursue those passions that they had. But I was very blessed and fortunate that I had the ability to do that. And so I feel like at the same time too, it's also kind of like an ode to those people that were on the track of doing it but didn't quite put out a product or fully kind of go through their passions. And I'm like, you know what? I still believe that you can do it, and I think that you can be victorious as well.
You know, you mentioned high school, and
Yeah.
if you went back to the high school you, so can you describe that young man at that point?
Oh my gosh, high school
Would he
me.
be, yeah, would he be the same person that we see on our screen right now? Would he be singing on Whyte Avenue, being out and proud? Would he be singing at Edmonton Fashion Week? Would he be releasing a song, or would he be in a corner reading a book and hoping nobody sees him? Who was the Matthew back then?
I was super extroverted.
Never would have thought that. Never.
Very extroverted. I remember it was only like a couple of years ago, but I was very, very out there. I definitely did perform in high school. I did some talent shows. I did uh, high school year play. I was in drama club. So I definitely was very much very artistic, and I loved music, and I loved performing, and I loved that. I was a little bit more shy than I am now. And thank goodness I've definitely changed, because those times in my life, although they were really great, I didn't really figure out the true essence of Matthew, right? I wasn't 100% the essence of myself that I am right now. So it was, would I perform on Whyte Ave when I was 15, 16, 17? Probably not. I probably would not. I would be very nervous to do so. I'd want to be in like an enclosed location. If it was something enclosed, like a coffee shop, maybe, or maybe a cool little pub that was able to have minors in it, I would be maybe down to do that. But no, I wouldn't have done that at my high school age.
Yeah, that's what amazes me so much about the kids, or as we call them, the youth set, that go out there every week, because they're out there holding a rainbow flag or being their true authentic self every Friday as people are driving by. And for the
Mhm.
most part, everyone's honking and everybody is celebrating them being themselves there. But I think back to my 15, 16-year-old self, which would have been in the early 90s at this time. And there's no way that would have ever happened for this farm kid from central Alberta. So
Yeah.
I'm jealous, amazed, and just bewildered all at the same time for those kids. And to think that you were to go there, yes, you're promoting your single, but you're also showing those kids saying, hey, you've got this, and look what you can do. It was such a positive moment.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, you're visible, you're beautiful, and look at what life can be. It can be just as amazing as you dream it to be. And of course, there will be obstacles along the way, but
Mhm.
you are worth every ounce of air on the earth as much as everybody else here. In fact, you're even more special. So how about that?
Amen. Now that's a religion that I can get into.
Oh,
Matthew and the Keys 4.13. That's a gospel. Write it. It's good.
oh my God, I
That's the
love
book in Matthew we would read every time. Hey, with Tales of the LGBTQ, it's a weird title in ways because everybody I interview is part of this wonderful rainbow community, and
it.
I always attempt to get a wide, broad section of the people who make up this community. But one of the comments I always get is like, you don't really talk about the gay thing, or you don't talk about the lesbian, bi, transgender thing. It just happens to be at some point. And
Mhm.
that's the good and the bad. We're this podcast is definitely not one of those ones to teach you how to be a good gay, bisexual, transgender person, nothing like that. But I do try to touch upon it a little bit. So, and that's where I'm going to go with this question to you, Matthew, is that when did you kind of get an inkling in your life that you might not be on the same Kinsey scale as some of the other people that you were growing up with?
Mhm.
When did you kind of realize that maybe you were going to be heading down a more glittery route?
Down the yellow brick road.
Oh,
Um,
Dorothy.
when did I would say I've always known that I was not the same as all my other friends in some sort of way. Um, I've always felt that inkling, but I just kind of was like, I don't really think too much of it. I didn't really think too much. I mean, for me, I'm gay, so I was attracted and interested with like girls. And then as I got older, then it was like, oh, maybe it's a little bit of both, but that's okay. And then I got older, and then I went on a few dates with some girls. One of them is like my best friend. Um, and then I came to, I would say, my mid 20s when I really came to the realization, and I had like a moment of finding out my true self before identifying with my sexuality. And then through that, then I was able to put a lot of everything together. And that's how I came out. And I am who I am. Yeah. I would say that in a sense though, I'm very grateful that that was the path I went through because first of all, there was no type of pain or suffering or neglect that I experienced in my life. And maybe that was because I was in the closet, but I really took the time to find out who I was as a person before really coming to a full sense, as I said before, the true essence of me. So
Yeah. I found it really interesting when you were saying, mentioning girls and going on dates
yeah.
and kind of figuring things out as
Mhm,
well.
mhm.
You did somewhat surprise me when you said mid 20s,
Yes.
when you came to realize your authentic self. And so, that buffer zone, let's say those college, university years,
Yeah.
how was that being in the closet, being still in that self-discovery stage? How, we can say that incubation period before you came out to the world and got, here I am.
Mhm.
How did those years help you in discovering your true self? What was the path going on then?
Well, one of the I will have to say, and I love my mom so dearly. However, when I was growing up, she was very, very adamant. I mean, she's an immigrant. She came here from Ghana and West Africa, and education is super duper important. And so, what she instilled in us was that school is very important, and that relationships are not something that you per se need to get into.
Mm.
So I kind of took that to heart really deeply, and I made sure that for me, I don't need to date anybody. So when I was dating people, it was, I think in my it was my fourth year of university, my fourth, fifth year of university. So it was later on when I was getting close to finishing that I was like, okay, maybe I should see what's going on and date around and date around. I went on like 2 days.
Hey,
I dated one of my best friends for like 4 months.
you got to a second date. That's big upon itself in many times. You mentioned university, and this is kind of a segue as well. It's when I found out this about you, I was quite interested. What did you go to school to become?
I went to school for my bachelor in education, and so I graduated with my B.Ed in elementary generalist and with a minor in French as a second language.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Minor in French as a second. I should say I'm not immersion. French as a second language.
So we're not going to switch into having a French interview at the moment necessarily, but
I mean we
could.
together. My French is a little bit sloppy, so you might not want to.
Hey, it's all good. My French is sloppy at the moment as well. My first degree is Bachelor of Education, but secondary. And I found myself going that route because my mother was a teacher, and that's what I knew growing up. And I felt at that time, if I went into education, it's that I would continue to have my mom's love for the time when I would come out, and I came out at a different time. So, I kind of had a backup plan just in case going, oh, if you don't support the gay thing, you're going to support me being a teacher. So you're going to continue to love me. But then teaching itself, I would get myself immersed in the stories of others, and I would give that love of learning for others. But what I found with many people is that they've gone down the education route and elementary route. So what was it about education that drew you in and made you want to become a teacher?
In high school, we had these, what do they call it? Volunteering kind of things with some of the schools that were close around the elementary schools that are in the area. And I got a chance to go back to my old elementary school and another school that was a closer area. And I just loved working with kids. I loved it. I would do summer camps with my siblings, and we would be the camp counselors and that kind of thing. And I just absolutely loved working with kids. They're funny. They're little humans. They can be terribly sassy and very opinionated. And I love watching how the way that they learn and they pick up things. I think it's such a refreshing thing. And it helps me to remember that I need to learn as well and grow and progress as a person. And I always say to my kids, I say, I'm not being a good teacher if I'm not learning and growing with you while you are learning and growing. Because I mean, if we're not learning, are we dead?
Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. The best stages for me after going through the secondary and doing a little bit in elementary, I always thought the best ages to teach were grades 4 and 5 because they were still those young kids that loved and were curious about the world. And then at the end of grade 4, beginning of grade 5, they start getting more of that personality, that individual personality and that sass.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, you're gonna be trouble in junior high, but right now you're still that perfect little kid that's wide-eyed, etc. So what grades do you teach without saying the school and things like that?
So I currently teach grade 3 to 6 music and grade 7 to 8 drama.
Oh, okay. They're
got a wide variety of kids. I see a lot of children every day.
Do the kids think about now being a recording star?
That's a great question. I feel you would have to ask them. I think they're shocked a little bit, just thinking, wow, that's kind of interesting. Some of them are probably like, well, it makes sense. He's a music teacher, therefore he would have music. And others legitimately think that I am a celebrity
Mhm.
of sorts. And that, in my opinion, I don't think that that's the case. I don't think I'm a celebrity, but sometimes that's what they think. But I will say that in the school, though, the music teacher or sometimes your non-electives are looked like you are, because you'll see all the kids, and whenever you walk down the hall, they're like, "Hi, how are you? Hi, oh my gosh!" And you wave like you're the queen, and blowing kisses, and you're like, "Peace, peace and love. See you soon. See you later. Oh, I'm not gonna see you today. I'm so sorry. Wipe your tears away. Here's a tissue. Oh my god." All very dramatic, like I am.
So you sign. So there's a little part of it where you sign the bottom of the report cards, but also sign your signature for the parents who are signing your album at the same time as well. Maybe.
Jeez. What was I? I had a kid. I taught grade 4 one year. No, I taught grade 4 for a long time, probably like 5 years. And at the end of one of the years, I always sign their agendas so that when they go home, they know that they wrote their homework, they're going to get done, so on and so forth. And so at this last year that I was at this last school, it was the last year that I was in the country before I left. And the kids were like, "You need to sign everything that we have, everything." And I had children who were pulling out lunch boxes, their shoes, all of their books, like their own personal books. They're like, "Write a message for me." And I was thinking, I don't know if your parents gonna like that. Your teacher's like, and they're like, "Don't, just do it real quick." I was signing autographs for like 10, 15 minutes. It was the funniest and most bizarre thing I've ever experienced from children.
It just there's days in which I miss it. I moved on. I moved overseas to China, and my focus then changed into working with newcomers to Canada when it comes to English and intercultural awareness. But I miss those days of teaching elementary and junior high. And when you mentioned teaching drama junior high, it reminded me of my first year where doing lunchbox theater or improv sports, and all the boys wanted to do was WWE wrestling, and it was like, no, that's not the acting we're doing. But
Yeah.
I don't miss those days, but I miss the days when the little kids would say, "Well, how old are you, Mr. P?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm celebrating the 10th anniversary of my 20th birthday." And they would be like, "Oh, my brother's 22, so you're the same age as my brother." And then at the end of the year, they'd be like, "You lied to us, Mr. P." I'm like, "What about?" And you're like, "You're 30. You lied to us." I'm like, "Well, how do you know?" And they're like, "We know math now." So those are the moments I miss, right? Those little things that just get to me. Yeah, we could talk about teaching for a while, and I know that's what happens when you put two teachers together.
That's all we talk about.
That's
We
all we
all talk
talk
about
about.
your kids, talk about teaching. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's now become Tales of the LGBTQ plus teachers.
Yeah.
Featuring Douglas and Matthew, or we'll put your name first as well. We do have some live viewers here tonight, and so I just want to let you know that on the screen to your right, we do have a chat screen. Please leave comments, please leave questions, and we'll definitely try to get to those questions and comments throughout the evening. We're talking to Matthew from Matthew and the Keys. A reminder, you can find out more about his music at mathekeys.com, and you can definitely purchase their music, Apple, Spotify, and Bandcamp. Emphasis on the Bandcamp section, because Bandcamp is better financially when you purchase the music, as I've learned from Dorje, the Singing Shaman, and Emmett Michael, both excellent queer artists here in Edmonton.
Oh my God.
Hey, speaking of which, there's Dorje, the Singing Shaman, there's Emmett Michael, there's Matthew and the Keys. What is in the water here in Edmonton, where we have 3 plus many more, 3 damn good 2S LGBTQ plus artists performing here in Edmonton? What's in the water about Edmonton and the queer and music scene?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think when you grow up in a province that is fairly conservative and you find your true passion, your outlet, it's really easy to express that, especially in music. It's such a beautiful and sometimes painful, but also a beautiful way to let go of your emotions and kind of show your true self. So I think that might be the reason why. I would say that that's the reason for me. It's such a great way, a vehicle for me to express myself, and in that way, it also definitely helps other people and heal themselves, whether they are on one side of the world or here.
Yeah. Do you have a song in your repertoire that you can look at and say, hey, this was shaped by my lived experiences here in Edmonton or Alberta? Or is that song yet to come?
I think that I've already written a handful of songs. They have not been published. They've not been put out just yet. On this album, let me think. I feel like maybe maybe like one or two of them talk about kind of like my experience. I think it was better to say that a lot of the songs that I have written that kind of are surrounding my gay Black experience probably have not been put out yet. They haven't been put out yet. Not yet.
Yeah. And so that's, you've given me an opening there, So you've mentioned that it took 10 years to put these songs out.
Yes.
Hopefully it's not going to be another 10 years before these unpublished songs are out, but
no.
And this is not me coming down at you yet or anything like that. And I don't mean this in a way of like, why not? But why do you feel or why do you think that those unpublished songs haven't been released yet? It's not because they're not good or anything, but what about those songs means that they're not ready or you're not ready yet for the world to hear it?
I think that for me, it might be me not being ready. I mean, as an artist, you go through a lot of ebbs and flows with your art and things that you want to express at the time and at the moment. And for me, at this moment, it was all about victory. And Lorenzo and I had these songs and we just really wanted to put them out and we were just gung-ho on them. But for some of the songs I have not released yet, I don't think that I'm ready per se to put them out. And I go through moments, as I said before, of the ebbs and flows where I think that this is amazing, or I don't like this anymore. I don't know what I'm thinking about this, and that kind of thing. So I think that it's something that will come out. It's got to be the right time, the right project, the right collaboration of songs to put into it.
Yeah,
so we'll see. I think like maybe I know I've played shows before where I've had my little EP, because I had an EP in 2009 with 4 songs I just kind of threw together and I was like, woohoo! I put out a piece of music. This is so exciting. And then I would play other songs that were not per se connected to that. And it worked out really well. And people really did see, oh, there is an evolution from right over here to this song that you played right here. What took you to that moment, So, I mean, they'll come out. They'll come out.
They have to. They're like books. They need to be opened at some point, and
exactly.
The author needs to be ready to release it to the world for the readers, and
yeah,
will happen when it does.
And if not, then maybe I'll be playing in New York City at City Winery, and it'll be an offset from the album that I'm touring with, and someone will record it and put it online. They'll be like, "Oh, this song, this unreleased track, wow, it's so cool." Then I'll be like, "Oh, this whole thing, this whole thing."
That was so 2017, but if
So,
you
in the
want,
words of Hilary Duff, so yesterday.
oh, good Lord. You know, wait a minute, she was married to the Edmonton hockey player, wasn't she?
Yeah, Mike Comrie.
Mike Comrie.
Yeah.
No longer with each other, if I remember.
That's
See,
correct.
I've got a gay card a little bit still. You know, I've gotten to the stage where I don't know what these young whippersnappers are listening or watching anymore, but I remembered who Hilary Duff used to be married to.
Well, no one can take away your gay card. No one can take away. But I will say, I don't think a lot of kids are really listening to some of the music that we used to listen to as much as we did. Like, I did play Hilary Duff one time in music class, and the kid said, "Oh, who's this?" I said, "Oh, it's Hilary Duff," and it was one of her like classics. Like, it wasn't Coming Clean, but it was like Why Not or something. They had no idea. They had no idea.
Wow. Well, I have to do the counter to that actually, because I agree with you from that era, but I run the music down at Pride Corner, and I am stunned with the song. One kid came running over and said, "Doug, you've got to play Careless Whisper." So George Michael with the saxophone,
Wow,
right?
okay.
And then the next song was the Rick Astley, Rick Roll, Never Gonna Give You Up.
They love
right?
it. They really do love it.
They love it. And then we had songs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that. So what's nice about being the corner, you kind of get to throw in some of the queer artists from that age. And I was thrilled when one young gentleman came up about 2 weeks ago and said, "Can you play that Frankie Goes to Hollywood song?" And that would be Relax from the 80s, which was my big song. And then they came up later and said, "Can you play Small Town Boy by Bronski Beat?" And at that moment, my gay wings have been given to me forever, because I passed on those songs that helped me through that time. So the kids. Oh, the kids. We have a couple of things here. We have Johnny here with a couple of mentions here, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Johnny H says, "Hey,
hey."
And then Johnny follows that up with going, "Love this," with an exclamation mark.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah. So thank you very much, Johnny, for tuning in live. Most of our listeners do come in after the fact, and that's great. But I always love it when people come live, because it adds that extra feature as well. That's just cool. I started this podcast because it was just me and my husband for a year and a half, and my husband doesn't talk very much, and I just love people's stories, and this is so great. And I get to open up the book of Matthew tonight. 4.16, was that the gospel from before?
That's the exact gospel.
Perfect. Chapter and verse.
Yeah.
Hey, Matthew, I know a little bit more about you with a background in modeling, and especially with mode models. We talked a little bit about my connection with mode models, obviously not me, but with a family member who was with mode models forever. But how did this modeling career happen and take flight?
Wow. Okay. So I actually, ever since I was a young child, I mean, my dream forever and ever and ever, amen, has always been to be a musician, to be a singer. I would make shows in my basement, line up my stuffed animals. I would take pieces of paper and make pretend CDs. So I would have like a folded piece of paper, and then I would cut a CD shaped paper in there, and then put the CD there with like tape, but it wouldn't rip it. And then I have the back, and I make the booklets with it. I'd always want to be a performer. Period. End of story. But I was always fascinated with fashion, modeling, clothing. It's always been another kind of passion with me. And I would watch fashion television at 6 p.m. on CBC. I think it was on CBC.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Fashion TV with Jeannie Becker that I also love to watch on Sundays. And it would always interrupt with my dinner time, because we'd have dinner on Sundays at like 6. And I was like, Mom, no, wait. Fashion TV's on. Like, please.
And
And so
your mom didn't know at that moment.
I don't know. She might have suspected. We've
But it
talked
was
about
never
it,
an
and
issue.
yeah, we've talked about it, and she said she had no idea, and I'll take that for her the truth, and for her truth, right?
Yeah.
Bless her heart. I love her.
Yeah. Although you left her breadcrumbs, but other than watching at 6 o'clock on Sundays, The
Yeah.
Wonderful World of Disney, you were watching Jeannie Becker and fashion
Yeah.
television.
And I
So
loved it. I thought it was so cool. And so at a young age, I think it was maybe about 18 or so, I saw in a magazine, probably C Magazine or View Weekly, that of this modeling agency called Mode. And also in the yellow pages, because what I used to do as a kid is I would go through the yellow pages and I'd find all the major labels that were in the city, and I'd write them down on a piece of paper with their address and everything. And I'd say, okay, as soon as I make a tape cassette demo, I'm going to go to that place and I'm going to give my demo to them, and they're going to love me, and I'm going to be the next Christina Aguilera, and that's over. And that I never did that because I was extroverted but afraid. So anyways, my stories are just all over the place. But so anyways, I went to, I think I thought about it when I was younger, never really did it. And then I moved abroad to Abu Dhabi. My friends told me, maybe you should do this. And I said, okay, maybe I will. I came back to Edmonton, and I was with a different agency. And my friend Karima, who is a model with Mode, she's amazing. And she had posted a picture of me, I think it was, when I was unsigned, or maybe signed, I don't know, with another agency. Posted a picture, and she sent it to Mode. And then through that, it snowballed. I went in, sent in my stuff. They interviewed me, and then I was signed with them. And it's been since August of 2020, I believe. So it's been about a year and so that I've been with them, and it's a lot of fun. It's very different from making music, but it's still making art in a different way. So it's really fun.
So with your modeling and the shoots that they send you for, do they steer you in a certain direction, whether it's print, or do they steer you in other directions as well?
Yeah, so I think what they do is trying to base it based on what you are passionate about, and trying to find the right field for you to kind of go through, and then give you coaching and that kind of thing for that. So for right now, I'm in the local category, and it's really great because I've done shoots for lookbooks for local fashion companies. I've done like 2 commercials, which was really neat. I've done, what was the last one I did? I did one for State and Maine, where I got to hang out and look at food all day and pretend to eat and pretend to drink. And then after, I got to eat and drink. So yeah, it's all different types of opportunities that come up, whether they be local or some things that could be possibly outside of Alberta or Edmonton. So whatever comes up, I say, sure, if I'm available, I would like to do it. And if I get booked, then it's awesome.
Even better. Yeah, it's fantastic, the different areas that you're finding yourself in with music and the modeling, but then teaching. And there's all these different avenues that you're going towards. And then we haven't even touched upon acting and those parts of yourself yet. Would a younger Matthew, whose mother arrived from Ghana, ever imagine that this was all possible, being based here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada?
Yes. I think that she would have believed that and definitely possible. My mom holds my siblings and I at a very high standard to what she believes that we can do. And then through that, I think that kind of builds us a little bit of that confidence, like, oh, we can do that. We can try and do that. Like, why not? And she'd always used to say, knock and the door will be open, or that you never know what opportunities are there unless you ask and see what happens. And for me in my life, I think that very much is very true, that I didn't know that a lot of things would be possible if I didn't go for it and see what happens of it. I mean, it's a great philosophy. It worked really well for me, thank goodness, so far, and I think it continues to do that. It is different for other people. I mean, I'm a queer Black male, but I am privileged. I am privileged in some different ways than some other people and other BIPOC people as well. So I am blessed, but I think that my mom was really great with, kind of instilling us that, no, you could try it, you could do it. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, asking politely, being kind. Is there a certain time when you have to not be as nice and kind and you just have to kick the door down? Is that part of it, or can a person make a career in the industries, plural, by being polite? Is that possible?
I think it's definitely possible, but you do need to have your own boundaries and your morals down. You cannot waver in some of those things, because some people will take advantage of you, and they'll take advantage of your kindness. So you do have to be very steadfast in what you believe and what you believe is right and wrong, and try your best not to waver from it. And I think, going back to that choose love kind of thing, that's where you can lean on some people that you trust and that trust you to help you make sure that you are doing the right thing and advocating for you when people aren't listening. I think that's super duper important. And then also having that kind of, I don't want to say like your backup, really. Your backup. Like, you know what? It's not going to go down this way, and we're going to help you as much as we possibly can, right? So I think that's super important. But I think that there's this whole perceived notion that it's like a wrong thing to be assertive and to tell people what you like and what you don't like. And I think that's so dangerous, because then that tells people that you can just be passive about stuff. But sometimes when you're too passive about things, then you get taken advantage of, right? But it's kind of like that notion of like that, where people say that, oh, a woman is a bitch because she says, I don't like this, or this needs to be this way. She's a bitch. No. But if a male does that, then they're strong and assertive and powerful. No, that's the same. It's the same thing. That's sexism. That's misogyny. Like, hello.
Yeah. Well, in the new Matthew, that's verse 4.17, and that's something I know and believe in. Yeah, it took me a long time, and I was always self-aware, and I pushed for things, but I never pushed further at times because I thought I had to play a role, or because of my identity, not reach as much because I wasn't worthy enough, and that, not self-hatred or anything like that, because I never jumped into that, but not being comfortable in my skin and not feeling that my skin and my body was able to be out there. It takes a long time to learn, and that courage. So Matthew, what do you do for yourself when you've reached those limits and you've reached your boundaries? What do you do for self-care?
I love to watch trashy, terrible reality TV. It's one of the best escapes. I love writing music. I love playing songs. I love listening to music. I love diving deep in the world of fashion. Sometimes I like to watch fashion shows that are just on YouTube of different designers that I'm interested in, or even finding out about ones I don't even really know about, and then finding out more about that. I love watching comedy kind of stuff. Yeah, that's how I kind of de-stress. I drink a lot of water, I work out, and that helps to like de-stress me. It really does. And it's funny because at one point in my life in 2016, I was in a very low place, and I saw a therapist, and it was really helpful for me. And that therapist had told me, you should try exercise. That's going to really raise up I don't know if it's endorphins per se, or maybe the serotonin levels or something like that. Yeah. And I did do it, and I was very consistent about it. And I am still to this day. And it's such a feeling of stress relief, and it makes me feel good. And the best part about it is when I realized that working out was helping me feel good. It was at a friend's house. This was pre-Panini. And we were planning a trip to go somewhere. And I had not worked out for 2 days. And this was day 2 that I was at my friend's house. And I was very irritable. I was very snappy. I was not nice. I was very short. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to fight someone. I'm going to fight someone. Then I realized, I said to my friends, I said, I'm sorry, I'm being so miserable. I haven't worked out today, and I'm losing it. And they're like, oh, okay. Sorry about that. I said, it's not your fault. It's me. And then I went and worked out, and I was perfectly fine. I texted them all apologies.
Well, see, there we go. So that's what I needed to do, because I came home from this workday just cranky, and I wanted to bite into a Snickers instead of going to work out. So maybe more working out and less Snickers. So,
but I love a Snickers. It's an energy bar. And you said you took a nap.
I did.
Napping is super important. It is a reset button and recharge. Point blank period. Period. Whenever I need to take a nap, I take like a 26-minute one, maybe a little bit longer. And I feel great. I feel recharged. I'm ready to face the day. If I was able to take naps at school, it'd be amazing. I might not be angry all the time. Yeah, I'm not angry all the time. Just kidding.
A 20-minute nap in the afternoon at school, a nice canapa would be fantastic.
It'd be perfect. Why don't I teach kindergarten? That's what I would do.
This segment of Tales of the LGBTQ+ has been brought to you by Snickers, as well as Douglas Mattress, the best mattress on the market, which can be delivered to your door. It's fantastic. It really is. And I'm not getting any sponsorship thing, but I just threw that in just in case Snickers or Douglas Mattress wants to sponsor. Oh, so many good things. Hey, Matthew, let's go through a couple of your things here again. I'm going to bring it up here on the screen and, of course, make mention of this for everybody at home. Again, as I bring things up, please tell everybody what they can find at these sites. So the very first one is specific to Matthew and the Keys, the band, MatheKeys.com.
Yes.
So what will everybody find there?
On Matthew and the Keys, you can find news, updates of different events and things that I'm doing, as well as my calendar to see what kind of shows or what kind of things I'm doing with Matthew and the Keys. And don't forget to subscribe to my mailing list so you can get even faster in the know news about Matthew and the Keys.
Excellent. Apple, Spotify, and Bandcamp. And for the third time tonight, emphasis on the Bandcamp.
Yes. You can stream my music on Apple, Spotify, and you can purchase my album, Victory, on Bandcamp for a very low and fair price. Canadian, of course.
Naturally. And we haven't given this information out yet tonight, but we're going to do so as well. You can reach out to Matthew both on Instagram and Twitter using the same handle that was used for the website. at MATHEKEYS. If we were to follow you on Instagram and Twitter, what will we find there?
You'll see a lot of pictures of me. You'll see pictures of me. I do updates about shows and things that I'm doing within the modeling world, within music, mundane things of my life. And you'll also see a little bit of activism. I'm very, I like to know about what's going on in the world, what's going on in Edmonton, Alberta, when it comes to BIPOC issues, when it comes to us LGBTQIA issues, and like today is Bi Awareness Week.
Mm-hmm.
So happy Bi Awareness Week to all my bisexual family and friends. Mwah, and you love you, and you are relevant.
Amen.
And loved.
And let's throw in here, being bi, it is a thing. It is not a myth. Mm-hmm. It's not a phase as you go towards one end or the other. That's for sure. And so, yes, a big shout out to our bi friends who make up a great part of our hearts. That's for sure. If you had a chance to go and talk to well, you mentioned before that you teach grade 4 to grade 6 for music.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to go back and talk to yourself at that same age, what would you tell them?
I would tell my little self, my little gap tooth smile, I would tell them to continue to be authentically yourself and really grow and love that part of yourself. I would say embrace all facets of yourself. Your personality, your love for music, your sexuality. Embrace all those aspects of you, because that makes you whole, and that is the true essence of yourself and your soul. And I think that's so important for not only for others to see, but for you to be at peace with. I think that's what I would say to myself. Just be authentically yourself, unapologetic, and pay the haters no mind, because your family has your back, especially your older brothers who would beat up anyone for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you do all that, you'll definitely be victorious.
You will. You will. Oh, what a segue, Douglas.
Hey, after doing interviews after a while now I know. And we made it through the interview without getting that Barbara Walters crying moment. So,
I'm a cold-hearted snake. I like to say to myself. My sister will agree with that.
We'll bring her on to the very next episode of Tales of the LGBTQ plus and get those stories. Perfect, Matthew. Thank you very much for being with us here tonight. We're going to make sure that all of this information that we've thrown up on the screen, as well as said audibly, will be connected to all of the push-outs of this interview as we go along. So do make sure that you look at the links. Let's just bring
my love,
a heart up to maybe this. Anahi gives us a red heart.
Anahi, I love her. She was my ex. You know what's funny is that she jokes about it all the time, and I'm like, oh, don't talk about it. And now I'm talking about it. And you know what? Now I said it. I mentioned it. Mention it all. Mention it all.
There you go. So this is the one that you mentioned earlier in the interview.
Yeah, I love her. She's my best friend, my little soul sister. Oh my God. I saw her today before. She borrowed my ring light, so I took it back.
As one does. And we're just putting up on the screen as she's laughing and a wahoo. So all the good things. So thank you very much, Matthew, for being here tonight as well. So let's be in touch again, and let's do a follow-up, because there should be more releases. There's going to be more campaigns and all that other good stuff for sure.
Oh, I love you too, Anaí.
Yeah.
Te quiero.
We have an I love you, Matthew, here as well. I feel like I'm just the third person in here. I'm just feeling like I'm just like being pushed to the side as we have this love story between the two.
Actually, I wrote a song about that kind of thing. It's called Night to Remember. It's not released yet. And I did play it at a show, and one person was like, have you ever done that before? And I was like, no, I've never done it before, but I've thought about it. So you never know. The world is is the phrase the world is your oyster, or the world is an oyster?
The world is your oyster.
Oh, okay.
This goes in a long different way. We don't have the time to get to Johnny's question, but we can smirk at this. I did think about asking this question at the end
What is
too.
the question?
Anahi, did you choose love? So it's the interview is over here, but we've got some connections going on here on the chat screen here as well. So I will bring the interview to a close, and I'll let everybody talk and make these connections later on. So yes, Matthew, I'm going to bring you down to the lower screen where we had you before. Don't log off at all. I'm going to come after I'm done the interview. We're going to come back and we're just going to chat and those type of things afterwards. Okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Matthew from Matthew and the Keys. Back in August, we were going to have this interview. All the interviews that I had at that time, simply because of a new work contract with Edmonton Elections I took on, and I became swamped. But I wanted to make sure I came back to Matthew to have the interview and have this chat with him. And every single week, every single interview, one becomes smitten with yet another person. And this cold heart of mine just expands all the time. And it's sickening, but it's fantastic. Over the next few weeks, you're going to meet more people from Edmonton, from Canada, from around the world. It's amazing what this little podcast has started. People are coming to us to be interviewed, and they come from surprising sources. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's just an incredible thing. Just being able to take time and have people share their stories. It's the greatest story that has never been written down in a novel. And we get to spend some time together turning the pages and just delving deep into people. And it's just fantastic. If you've enjoyed today's interview and you want to know more, please look for us on our YouTube page, Tales of the LGBTQ+. There's a subscribe button there. That always helps, as you will get notification. We talk to people across our rainbow community. If there's something that you're interested in, I'm confident that there's an interview for you there as well to listen to. And definitely reach out to me if you have an idea, if you have a person you'd like to have interviewed, or if you look at the 26 people or so who've been interviewed, everybody I've talked to have been just fantastic. And this is the best thing ever. Best thing. And it's just going out and it's choosing to do things that are out of the bubble. Friday night, Pride Corner on Whyte is back again, 4:30 to 10. We're stopping at 10, simply to keep us old folks continuing as we go through the winter. This little movement that was only going to be for Pride Month has continued, but in order to do so, Douglas needs some sleep at some points, especially on a Friday night. So we're going to stop at 10 o'clock at a certain time and not go until midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning like we have been doing. Again, you can find more information about Tales of the LGBTQ+ on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all different areas. Please subscribe whenever possible. Please leave a review. That helps us with the algorithms. It's been a long week. Again, a few weeks ago, our community was hit hard, especially the Pride Quarter community, with the loss of one of our kids, our young adults. Bailey, there's still no words. And your wings were huge on earth. Your heart just ever flowing. And where you are now in this different world, I know your wings are flying high, and everyone is able to see your heart, your two-spirit. Just kick ass. Just absolutely kick ass, because you continue to be a beautiful soul. Until next time, everyone, I'm Douglas Parsons. You're listening to Tales of the LGBTQ+, reminding you to be good and always text when you get home. Until next time.